past couple weeks, my TikTok For You page has been flooded with the following videos.
I never thought this day would actually come, but get ready with me talking about how I'm banned from Alani's.
A bunch of teens and young adults claiming that they've been to their doctor and have to cut back on their caffeine intake because it's starting to cause them heart problems. Well, my first thought when seeing these videos was, well, of course, if you're drinking 1 Alani a day, of course you're gonna have heart problems. I don't see the issue here. But then I started to wonder, why is it causing them heart problems? I mean, we know caffeine is bad for you, but what specifically is making it bad for us? So I decided to do some research and put together this video. There's gonna be 2 goals for this video. One is to get my extra credit points for my biology class. Hi, Dr. Mager. I really hope you're having a good day while grading those, because I need them extra points. And second, I just wanted this to be a warning to avid energy drink consumers like myself, that maybe the caffeine that we're drinking is not the best for our bodies. And before we start this video, I would just want to put this out as a disclaimer. I am an avid energy drink consumer. I know that I have a caffeine addiction. I'm just making this because I wanted to know what was happening in my body, and I wanted to make sure that other people were aware of the same thing. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get started by looking at some popular energy drinks and their caffeine content. Before we start though, I actually haven't had this flavor yet, so you're gonna get I've had the flavor, but I haven't had the sugar-free version, so you're gonna get my live reaction on camera, so. I hope that sounded good on the mic. It's just as good as the original. So before I started researching for this video, I put together a survey and put it on my Instagram story so that people around my age, like my friends and other people that follow me that go to college or are still in high school or have graduated college, could fill it out and I could get a general idea of the average caffeine consumption for people around my age. The 2 main questions that I wanted answers to were, how many energy drinks do you drink in a week, and have you experienced any of these symptoms? And I got some surprising results. About 16 people say that they have at least 1 to 3 energy drinks a week. Me personally, I'm in the 4 to 6 range, but we don't gotta talk about that. It also seems pretty divided on whether or not people were feeling any of these symptoms because of energy drinks, these symptoms being common symptoms of over caffeine consumption. I also asked them the question, what was their favorite energy drink, mainly like brand or flavor or whatever, just to get, like a good sense of them and get some recommendations. But ultimately, I chose these 4 because I've had experience with all 4 of these drinks, and I wanted to give a little more insight on my personal experience with them, and we're going to use those later on to more accurately describe what's happening with the heart. So we're going to start with the Monster because this was my first energy drink. I think I had my first Monster around sophomore year of high school, and I probably had 3 of these a week, and that number definitely went up after I got my first job because I could pay for my own energy drinks. I was Monster's biggest defender. It had just enough caffeine and it was just sweet enough. It wasn't very bitter. I really liked the taste and it made me feel good. It didn't make me feel jittery at all. So I really, really liked Monster. However, I did start to build up a tolerance to the Monsters, and they were starting to become too sweet. Like they had a very syrupy kind of flavor to them. So I was ready to start drinking something different, and I switched to Red Bulls. I absolutely love Red Bull. Red Bull has gotten me through my first year of college. Shout out Red Bull if y'all want to sponsor me. I will happily take it. In my personal opinion, and again, I might be biased because this is my favorite energy drink right now, but it has that perfect sweetness to bitterness ratio. It's not too sweet, but it's also it doesn't taste like battery acid. And they do have a little bit more caffeine, so that's definitely a plus. And I love Red Bull. What else can I say? Next, I'm going to talk about Alani's. I've had a couple of Alani's in my day. I personally think that they are very sweet. I think they're too sweet. They're not for me. But if I need an extra energy boost, if I have a deadline coming up and I absolutely need to stay awake, I will drink an Alani because they do have more caffeine in them. So if there is an Alani, if somebody offers me one, I will drink it, but I will complain the whole time about it being very sweet. Last, we have Celsius. I'm going to offend a lot of people whenever I say this. I hate Celsius. I can't stand Celsius. The first time I had a Celsius, I was a senior in high school. We had a practice for our last show, and I had one of these in between practices, and I could feel every single beat of my heart against my ribcage. I genuinely thought I was dying. And personally, I hate the taste of Celsius. Every single time I drink a Celsius or like I sip somebody else's, I'm just reminded of a video that I saw where the guy says that drinking a Celsius is like licking a battery covered in snow cone syrup. So, yeah. All that to be said, I swore off Celsius. I'm not a fan, and I will stay away from a Celsius. So we're gonna take a look now at this chart that I made. It's a little sloppy. I apologize. And basically all that I have here is I've had the 4 main drinks that we're going to be talking about, the caffeine content, and some other ingredients that are listed under ingredients, but have some stimulant ingredients in them that are not advertised as part of the caffeine content. So yeah, like I said, I started out with Monsters. They have relatively low amounts of caffeine in them. They've got about 86 milligrams of caffeine, and I mean, I think they're pretty good. Red Bulls have a little bit more with 115 averaging. I will say a lot of these drinks, they change based off of the flavor. So these are just like the averages and what some of the cans say. And then we're rounding it off here with both Celsius and Alani's having 200 milligrams per fluid ounce. So here we have a bunch of other ingredients listed here that are also included in these energy drinks. Taurine is probably the most common that people have seen. It is advertised on a lot of energy drink cans. I know especially like Monster has them written on like the top of the lip of the can. So that might be the most common ingredient that is found and that people are more aware of. And some of these have some scary names like
Glucuronolactone.
I butchered that. I'm so sorry. So we're just going to go through and talk about a lot of them and what they are and why they're listed here and why they're important to know and important to look for on your energy drink cans. So we're going to start with taurine. Again, it's the most popular one. Most people are more aware of what it is or more aware of it in general. Taurine is an amino acid that's naturally found in the human body. It's actually found in your intestines. Taurine is essential to the development of your nerve cells in your brain and can lower your blood pressure and improve the function of the endothelium. And that just means that it helps the lining of your blood vessels maintain blood flow. Taurine is not directly classified as a stimulant, but it can make you feel more refreshed. Other ingredients like guarana seed and green tea extract actually do contain caffeine. And other naturally occurring ingredients like the B vitamins and L-carotene can improve nerve function, so they have stimulant properties as well. So why am I talking about hard to name chemicals and extracts? Isn't this video supposed to be about caffeine? And yes, I'm getting there. Be patient. Remember whenever I said that when I drank Alani's, I feel normal, I feel fine. But whenever I drink a Celsius, I feel like my heart is about to jump out of my rib cage and run a marathon all on its own. You can see that they both have the same caffeine content, so why do they make me feel 2 different ways? Energy drink companies have to say how much caffeine that they have in their drink, but they don't necessarily have to say how much of the other ingredients that they put in there. So theoretically, Celsius could be adding a lot of guarana extract and green tea extract into their drinks, more than Alani's do, which greatly increases the caffeine content and makes you feel more energized. So they may have the same amount of caffeine listed per ounce, but this extra stimulants that they add in there can make the body feel more energized. Okay, and I hear you saying, Jordan, this is all great research and whatever, but this still does not explain why it's bad for my heart. And you're right, it seems I've gotten ahead of myself. So let's backtrack. So what is caffeine and how does it work? According to the National Library of Medicine, they say that caffeine is a naturally occurring central nervous system stimulant belonging to the methylxanthine class and is widely recognized as the most common psychoactive stimulant worldwide. It is most commonly sourced from coffee beans, but it is found in some teas and cacao beans. Thank you, NIH.gov. But what does this actually mean? Methylxanthine is just a class of drugs that are derived from natural molecules that are found in your DNA and RNA. Methylxanthines are relatively weak stimulants, which is why they're used in a lot of drugs. The term psychoactive drug just means any substance that alters your mental processes, cognition, moods, and emotions. Any drug is considered a psychoactive drug since they all alter your mental state in some sort of way, and they're classified into 7 different categories based on what they actually do. Stimulants increase the message rate from your nervous system to your brain. They can make a person feel more energetic, alert, awake. And pathogens increase the dopamine and serotonin releases in your brain and can make a person feel more happy or connected emotionally. Psychedelics are also known as hallucinogenics, and they can make a person see hallucinations, can make them see anything, make them hear anything. Dissociatives are a type of psychedelic drug. They can make a person feel more disconnected from their body. Cannabinoids are specific drugs that specifically target the cannabinoid receptors in your brain and can make a person feel more high or light or easy. Depressants slow the messaging system from your nervous system to your brain and can make somebody feel more lethargic or slow. And opioids are mostly known for painkillers, and they can desensitize the body to any pain. We're going to focus on the first group, the stimulants, as we go on and we talk about caffeine and how it works. Again, caffeine is a stimulant. It can make a person feel more energized. It basically speeds up the messaging system from your brain to the rest of your nervous system. Caffeine is one of the few legal stimulants. One of the other most common stimulants is cocaine. Yeah. Anyways, so how does caffeine actually work in the brain? This is where adenosine comes in. Caffeine works against the adenosine receptors in your brain to make you appear and make you feel less drowsy. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter found in the human body, and it promotes the sleep drive. Adenosine and melatonin really work together as 2 parts of the circadian rhythm. Melatonin works whenever it gets darker, you start feeling more tired. Adenosine works the opposite. As the day goes on, you build up more adenosine and you feel more tired as the day goes on. Everything you do all day, every day promotes adenosine. Everybody knows about the mitochondria. Say it with me, guys. It's the powerhouse of the cell. But what does that actually mean? Well, the mitochondria takes in glucose from the food that we eat, and it turns it into 30 to 38 molecules of ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. This ATP helps your cells do all of the work, and by proxy helps you do everything and helps you do all the work. So basically, from the moment that you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you are burning that ATP and you're building up that the adenosine in your body, so that later on, when you're ready to go to bed, you feel more tired and more ready to go to bed. Caffeine, though, directly impacts the adenosine receptors in your brain. So because this part of the molecule is very similar to this part of the molecule on the adenosine, this is what targets the adenosine receptors in your brain. Caffeine attacks all 4 types of adenosine receptors in your brain, so without the adenosine, you don't feel very tired. So you might be saying, that's great, I'm gonna go shotgun 5 Red Bulls to get my essay done before 11:59. No, put the Red Bull, put it down. Put it down. Caffeine is not the save-all for your poor time management skills. But seriously, just like any other drug, you can overdose on caffeine. When having too much caffeine, some of the most common symptoms are headaches, increased anxiety, jitters, and nausea, and some of the more serious ones are higher blood pressure and heart palpitations. Take it from me, there was one day in high school where I had about 400 milligrams of caffeine in my system before 10 a.m., and I was throwing up all day. It's not fun. So now that we understand what caffeine is, let's look at how it affects your heart, because this is a PSA to try to save your heart after all. So I'm not the greatest artist. I'm an aspiring scientist, not an aspiring artist. So let's not judge my heart. So because caffeine is a stimulant and stimulants speed up the processes in your brain, that means that also the production of noradrenaline and norepinephrine are also increased. Noradrenaline and norepinephrine are your fight or flight hormones. Basically, when you're in fear or when something dangerous is happening, your body goes into fight or flight, and the production of noradrenaline and norepinephrine speeds up your heart rate and increases your focus so that you can better assess your surroundings. When you do drink caffeine, your body is increasing the norepinephrine and noradrenaline in your body, and it speeds up your heart rate because you need to be more focused on whatever you're doing. That's why caffeine works. However, too much consumption of caffeine can cause your heart to go into overdrive, and you're constantly putting your heart at a high rate. If left unchecked, this can do serious damage to your heart. It can reduce the ability for your heart to be able to pump blood, and that is very important. So your blood cells carry oxygen and hemoglobin, and if your heart is unable to pump that oxygen to the rest of your body, then that is when a death of cells happens in your body. So when your heart beats at a very high rate, that can increase inflammation, which that just means any strain or stress on the cardiac muscle. But your immune system likes to stay on top of this. The protein fibrinogen attracts platelets in your blood, and that helps the blood clot around the site of injury. The presence of the platelets trigger an enzyme called thrombin, which takes the fibrinogen and turns it into fibrin, which is actually what causes the clot. Now, too much thrombin can actually cause blockages in the heart, which can lead to the death of the muscle tissue in your heart, which then can lead to something called a myocardial infarction, or otherwise known as a heart attack. Heart attacks are very serious. I'm sure I'm not the first one to tell you what a heart attack is, but they're very serious. They can stop your heart and you can die from them. Very serious. Now, energy drink consumption is not the only thing that causes a heart attack. There are plenty of things around that cause heart attacks. So if energy drinks are not directly causing heart attacks, then why am I making this video in the first place? I told you, I need my extra credit points. But seriously, I am very concerned about the safety of people my age's hearts, and there are a lot of substances around that are very addictive, and if cutting back on energy drinks can help save somebody just that much more from a heart attack and from serious heart issues down the line, I would rather them watch this video instead. And I mean, that's the whole reason I'm making this video in the first place. I want people to know more about their hearts, and I want people to be able to treat their heart kindly. So if you drink 1 Celsius, are you gonna have a heart attack? The answer is most likely no. If you're like me, you might feel like you're having a heart attack, but most likely you will be fine. However, having 1 Celsius a day, or 1 Monster, or 1 Red Bull, or 1 whatever could potentially be really bad for your heart, and your risk of having a heart attack could go up. But caffeine consumption doesn't just affect the heart in the long term. As we discussed, caffeine short term takes away the drowsiness and the tiredness feeling that you feel. But long term, it can actually affect how much sleep you're getting. Consuming caffeine up to 6 hours before sleep can reduce your sleep by 1 hour. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but that adds up over time. Excessive and consistent sleep loss can cause a whole nother bag of health risks. And I'm sure Dr. Mager doesn't want to listen to my 10-minute tangent on why sleep is important. He probably knows. All I will say on the matter is, it is very important to get 8 hours of sleep. I know it's very tempting to try and pull all-nighters while working on projects and working on big assignments. Lord knows I was doing that while writing the script.
And editing.
Losing sleep can cause your brain can cause forgetfulness in your brain, and it can cause you to not do as well on tests or assignments, and it can have severe health risks as well. Your body needs that time to reset and rebuild. With that said, go to sleep.
Don't tell me what to do. You're not my boss.
Another side effect of excessive caffeine consumption is the increased symptoms of anxiety, especially in people with anxiety disorders. According to the Loma Linda University of Health, 40% of adults ages 18 to 29 experience symptoms of anxiety disorders, comparing that to only 16% in adults over 60. It seems that the likelihood of consuming caffeine can increase symptoms of anxiety and increase the likelihood of having a panic attack. And when consuming lots of caffeine, these panic attacks can be longer and more intense. Lastly, this wouldn't be a proper PSA, and this wouldn't be well researched if I don't talk about people with pre-existing heart conditions. Heart arrhythmias are known as irregular heartbeats, so that means that the heart either beats too fast or too slow. Consuming caffeine when you have one of these pre-existing conditions, especially with a heart arrhythmia, can produce some very dangerous side effects. A famous case that happened not too long ago was a student at Penn State University named Sarah Katz. She had a condition called long QT syndrome. This means that the heart's electrical activity took longer to recharge than a normal heart, which led her to have irregular heart rhythms. Sarah tragically passed away after consuming Panera Bread's charged lemonade because she was unaware of the high caffeine content in them, which led her to go into cardiac arrest. Panera was sued for the wrongful death of cats due to them not having proper warnings on their charged lemonade containers, leading her to consume a lethal amount of caffeine. Rest in peace, Sarah. I'm so sorry. Closing this video, I just want to reiterate the importance of this information. I want people my age and older or younger to know the side effects and the risks of excessive caffeine consumption. With that being said, am I telling you to stop drinking energy drinks altogether? No. I can't tell you what to do with your life. And honestly, I'd be a hypocrite if I told you to do so. Am I advising you to rethink the amount of caffeine that you're consuming and come to your own conclusion on whether or not cutting back is good for you? Yes, absolutely. I know me personally, this was very eye-opening. I'm still going to drink caffeine, but I am more aware of certain things that people put in their drinks, and I will be more aware and mindful of what to look for in energy drinks. Everything is good in moderation, and it's up to you to find your own balance and what is good for your body. Think of it this way. Pineapple is super healthy. If you eat one pineapple a day, your immune system is gonna have a blast. It's gonna have that extra vitamin C to help boost it, and you'll be super healthy. However, the acidity of the pineapple is going to break down your tooth enamel, which could lead them to be severely damaged or even fall out. But still, pineapple is good for you. But again, everything in moderation. I really hope you guys learned something today. This was really, really fun to make this video, and I'm really glad that Dr. Maker gave me this opportunity to create this video. I hope this reaches people, and I hope people are more aware and make better and more informed decisions about what they're putting in their body. All of the sources that I've used in this video while talking about certain topic that you've seen, like on the subtitles of the video, will be listed in the description below. So please, by all means, if you would like to do your own research and learn more about this topic, I implore you, please do so. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.